All right, welcome everyone to today's webinar, New Features in NFPA LiNK That Will Change the Way You Work, presented by Kyle Spencer. Just some housekeeping before we get started. Please connect your audio by clicking the microphone icon and selecting your speakers from the dropdown. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation, but if you have questions that come up during, please put them in the Q&A box. We will be monitoring that throughout the presentation. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker, Kyle Spencer. For over 3 years, Kyle Spencer has been working alongside his peers at NFPA to develop NFPA LiNK, providing digital access to codes and standards. Now serving as the director of NFPA LiNK, he oversees the strategic direction for the application and helps support ongoing development and content creation efforts. Kyle has spent over a decade working in the electrical products industry, learning from engineers and installers on how to make the products they use more efficient. A quick note, this webinar is being recorded on behalf of the National Fire Protection Association. This recording will become the property of NFPA and may be used by NFPA for any lawful purpose. By participating in or attending this event, you agree to be recorded and to allow NFPA to use such recording for any lawful purpose. If you do not wish to be recorded, please hang up or exit the meeting at this time. And now I will hand it off to Kyle.
All right, thanks, Brittany. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. If you did attend my webinar back in March, welcome back. I appreciate you attending this new webinar. If you were not able to attend that webinar, I'm going to have Angela Burke, our senior project manager, post a link to that webinar in case you want a more in-depth demo of the core features of NFPA LiNK. I'm not going to go through every feature again like I did in the original webinar, so if you do want to see more of that in-depth training on those features, please feel free to watch that video when you have the chance. So today what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to give you all a quick content update. I am going to do a quick existing feature overview, so I'm going to just do a high-level touch on all the features we have, show you some of the new things with those features that we've improved. And then I'm going to introduce our new work groups feature. And then lastly, I'm going to give you all a sneak peek at some of the exciting features we have coming out here very soon, one of those being interactive change indicators. So from a content update, last time we spoke, I believe we had roughly about 450 publications available in NFPA LiNK. That was including the current edition of every NFPA publication. Since then, our team has been very hard at work getting as many things loaded as possible. So now we have over 1,400 publications now available in LiNK. That still includes the most current edition of every NFPA publication, but now includes 4 prior editions of all of our standards, as well as 42 Spanish publications. So we're starting to load other languages into the application. We'll also be continuing to release new content as soon as it's published. So when those cyclical releases are going out and they're issued, you'll see them first available in LiNK. For example, the NEC 2023 is coming out this fall. It will be available in LiNK on September 1st. We're also continuing to load all of our explanatory commentary and visual aids. A lot of you are familiar with this as our legacy handbook content. I'll show you where that's located within the app just to give you a refresh on where it's available, but we are constantly loading this content and getting that available for you. For those 1,400 publications, now when you go to our view all publications modal, you're going to see those publications listed, but they're going to be basically nested. So you have the ability to click the show earlier editions, and you'll see all the prior editions leading up to that most current edition. So for this example here, I'm showing you NFPA 10 with the other editions that are available of that particular standard. There are some documents that will have some limited features regarding them. These are our older editions. You're going to see them identified with this scroll icon. So feel free to click that scroll icon. You can read a little bit about the features within that, but everything new will have all of the features that I'm going to talk through today. If you do have questions as we're going on, please feel free to use the Q&A box. Angela's going to be monitoring that and answering in real time so we can knock out as many questions as we can, but I'll be opening it up at the end as well to address any further questions. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get into NFPA LiNK. All right, so you all should be familiar with the view of NFPA Link that I'm showing you here. This is our dashboard view. So this is highlighting all of the books that I've favorited to use. If I do need to look up a new publication or want to favorite something new, I can click this view all publications and add a favorite that way. One thing I noticed that a lot of people weren't aware of was our resource center. So down here in the bottom right where this question mark is, if you click this, this is our resource center. This will go through some guides. It'll walk you through kind of how to use some of the features. It's also got a series of onboarding demos. These are much shorter than the webinar I presented. So if you don't feel like sitting through an hour webinar and watching it all in depth, you can utilize these demos, which are about 2 minutes long, kind of highlighting all the features we have. And this is also where any of the announcements will be. So anytime we release new content, or if we have a new feature release, you're going to see that new announcement in here to let you know what's the latest and greatest. As I'm viewing this screen, on the far left is this navigation bar. This persists as I navigate throughout Link. So the top brings you back to this screen we're viewing here. The next one is direct, which I'll touch on briefly. The third one down is My Link, which houses all of your bookmarks and collections. And the fourth one is search. And then down at the very bottom here where my initials are where your account settings, support, and other items are as well. So just a quick refresh, I can jump directly into a book here. So I'm showing you NFPA 72 right now. I can quickly change the edition from here, so I can navigate all the way back to the 2010 edition. Just something to note, as we load new content, we are not taking any content out. So this library is going to continue to build more and more. So while it's just 4 editions right now, over time, that'll be 10 editions, 20 editions, whatever it may be. And that's all part of your standard subscription. There's no extra price to access all of that content. So you can see the table of contents right here. I can navigate directly to a chapter. I can expand that and go directly to a section if I'd like. I can also view all the tables from a certain chapter. So we've aggregated all the tables from chapters. So if that's all you care about and you want to jump directly into that, you can do that as well. So once I dive into a particular code and standard, you're going to see the layout appear as is, but there is some interactive features alongside all of this. So the things I touched on last webinar that I'm not going to go too much into, but just to give you a refresh, you can add it to the reference panel, which allows for side-by-side viewing of the code. You can add a bookmark and you can share. With sharing, you can share an entire section or subsection of content, and you can share that with both subscribers and non-subscribers of Link. As you're viewing the code, when I mentioned that handbook material, this is what I'm talking about. So when you click this enhanced content bar, this is our traditional handbook material. So you'll see some commentary, you'll see some nice visual aids in here. This is all to help you better understand the meaning behind the codes and standards. And what you might be used to is going and finding the NFPA 72 handbook. What we've done is really built it with all within the document itself. So you don't have to go back out and find NFPA 72 handbook. It's all right here within the code. One thing to just show you that we did improve upon is the bookmarks piece. So if I click this bookmark, I can read the bookmark that I previously made. But now you do have the ability to add an additional bookmark. So that was something that we didn't have before, where you could only add 1 bookmark at a time. I can come in here now and add another bookmark. Say I had different bookmarks for different collections. I can come in here and store them that way. Now I've saved that bookmark, and now you can see where I can now navigate to both bookmarks with these arrows here. I can view my notes, view when I made them, and what edition I made them in. Also, you can search directly from here. So I demonstrated search a little bit last time. I just want to talk a little bit more about it. So if I come in here and search and I'm viewing a specific chapter, it's going to start at that chapter view. I have the ability to expand from there, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick search, and we'll do circuit for reference. And now you'll see the results appear. I did have a few questions about the results when it came up with search, requests to have it in order of when it displays in the chapter. So I just wanted to clarify why our results rate this way, and then show you a few other ways to get to this. But these are things we're always taking feedback on and looking to improve. So over time, you might see some different sorting options here as well. But the way it works is all of it is weighted. So it's based on the word itself. And then it appears first in the titles. So you're going to see it appear first. And since it appears in this title, it's going to raise to the top. And then everything else is based on how frequent it's used within that section. So this next section appearing, you can see circuit right now is appearing twice in this section. It's weighted higher, so it's going to appear higher in the results for you to quickly find it. If I expand to all of NFPA 72, what you're going to default to is actually the chapters and then the annexes that it appears in. And then from there, it'll go down to the sections that actually have it listed, and then into those subsections where it might be listed multiple times. So that's kind of how our search is weighted and done. If I come back to the view here, I just wanted to show you a quick way to find search that some of you might be traditionally used to using. So if I did Control F right here and I typed in circuit, what you can see is it now appears. So I can search this entire chapter for this document, and it's going to do it in the order of where it appears. So I can quickly jump, and you'll see it's highlighted throughout. So if that's your preference on how to find content, you can certainly Control F on the web page itself and search that way. Our traditional search right now is really weighting by the number of times or where it appears within that specific section or chapter or annex. The other thing to show you here is if you were to search, for example, NFPA 13, in here, what you're actually going to find is where NFPA 13 appears within all of NFPA 72. But say you just wanted to get to NFPA 13 and you didn't use that view all publications modal, you could come right here, click find matching publications, and now you're going to see NFPA 13, where anywhere 13 appears in our titles. Now you can quickly find that. If you wanted to jump directly into that, you could click this. If you wanted to expand, find an earlier edition, you could do that as well. Or if you wanted to add it to your bookmarks, which it's already, or my favorites, which it's already on mine, you could do that as well. So just a few enhancements we've made to search so far. Like I said, we're always looking for feedback on ways to improve this. So if you have additional feedback on what you'd like to see on search, we certainly welcome that. So from there, I'm just going to jump over to MyLink just to show you really quickly what MyLink houses. And I'll touch on this a little bit more with the work groups feature as well. So MyLink is going to house all of your bookmarks. So you can see the one I just made. You can sort by color. You can search across these. I can click in these, read the text, jump directly into the book. It also houses all of your collections. So this is all of your personal collections and your shared collections. For those of you that are on Teams or enterprise subscriptions, you will have this concept of shared collections. Now you will see that they're a little bit broken out, and I'll explain this more as I dive into the work groups feature. But this is where all of your content's stored. So if you don't want to jump back into the book, if you only care about certain sections of the book, you can certainly bookmark those and access them quickly through the MyLink feature. Then I'm just going to quickly touch on Direct. I did demo this in more detail in the last webinar as well, but I just want to highlight it again for you all. So this is our way of navigating to certain topics using what we call situational navigation. So a series of filters to quickly get you to information that we've curated for you. So I can come in here, I can select an occupancy. For example, I can click building under construction. And what I'm going to get is results specific to those that category. So I'll get some results around building under construction. You can see I've got hot work safety, I've got construction site maintenance. All of these contain additional information that our technical experts have put together, as well as linked to personal publications and articles that are relevant to these topics. So you can jump directly into one of these. I could pick another filter if I'd like. We'll do residential, for example. And then we can come in here and pick a system as well. So we can narrow down these results. So I can say, I just want to know everything HVAC related to residential. And here's what NFPA has built out for you. Again, this is all continually being built out. So what's in here today, we'll add more next week, the week after. We're continuously adding to this content. There is a poll in here that'll pop up as you're using it to kind of ask for some feedback on what else you would all like to see in here. We're basically prioritizing everything that we can to get built, but learning from our users and hearing what they need to understand and learn certainly helps. So as you guys get feedback, we'd love to hear from you and what else we should actually be building within this. And then I'm going to jump back to the home screen here. And again, you're going to see my favorited publications. The other thing, just to quickly mention, is we do have the ability to store documents for offline use. So I can come in here, I can click that vertical menu, I can click offline settings, and then I've got the ability to toggle this on, store it for offline use, including my bookmarks and notes, and including that enhanced content, that legacy handbook material. So all of that can be viewed offline. This is an application that can be used both online and offline. It is through your web browser, but you can install it as an app from your web browser. So you're not going to find it in the App Store or anything like that. This is all through link.nfpa.org. All right, so now I'm going to jump over to my account settings. And since I am actually in an enterprise account, I'm going to see a few tabs here. If you're just a team or an individual account, you might not see some of these things. So I'm going to highlight a few features and talk through it with you all. One is on the team management section. Nothing really has changed from this standpoint. This is where you can invite new users to join your team. You can see how many invites you have remaining. You invite them via email, they'll receive an email, they click that link, and that is how they get access to the content or to the application. You can manage your team members this way. You can add and remove users. You can set others as admin if you want. You can have multiple admins of a team, all those good things. We did add when the last active was. So you can see when they were last logged in. So you can understand their frequency of use. Are they using the application? Do they really need access? All that good stuff. The newest feature we released is what we call manage work groups. And this is really for our enterprise organizations. So if you have a really large team, if you have a team of 100 people, maybe you want to break that team down further. Maybe you don't want to share everything across that entire team. If your entire company is subscribing to Link, you might want to organize by project, by department, by regional location, whatever it may be, you can kind of organize your team into that way. And this is all via the admin. So the admin has the capability to do this. Again, this is an enterprise feature. So if you are an individual user, I would encourage you to explore looking at our team and enterprise features. If you're working for a company where others need access to the codes and standards, maybe you need to teach some people on the codes and standards. Maybe they need stuff out in the field. If you get them access and they can come in and find it themselves, they're not going to be the ones calling you, bothering you during your day. They'll have access to the information they need, and you can help organize it for them so they can quickly find what they need. We do price by volume. So the more people you add, the lower cost per user it is. So certainly something to explore if you are an individual user and you want to try to get your whole company involved and utilize some of these collaboration features. I'd certainly encourage you to check it out. So right here, I've given a few examples and then I'll create one for you all. But what you could see is I've created 3 work groups so far. So we've got 10 State Street project. So this would be an example of like a project work group. Maybe everyone in this team is working on a specific project at the time and they want to share collections related to that project. I've got these 2 examples built out: fire door requirements and atrium sprinkler requirements. So they could really be, requirements based on the project that you want them checking, or, inspection things you want them checking on that project, whatever it may be, whatever works for you guys. The next example I have is the engineering department. So you could do department based if you wanted across your company. So here I've got a new hire training for engineering as a shared collection. So they could bring on anybody new, point them directly to this collection. You can read everything you need to know, specific to your company that you need to know about codes and standards related to engineering for this company. And the last example here I put was the PNW regional team, so Pacific Northwest regional team. So if you did want to break your company down by location and have your members, collaborate that way, you could do that as well. So if I want to create a new work group, I go over here, I click new work group. I can type in a name. So for this example, I'm going to do facility maintenance. Oops. And then what I do is I can click this drop down. I could search. So if I had hundreds of people, this example, I've only got 4 on here. But if I had hundreds of people, I could type in their names, search them, and quickly add them. But let's say Eric was part of it and Melissa was part of this group for facility maintenance. I could add them quickly. I can also remove them if I need to. Click save. And what I'm going to be doing is now creating that new work group. Let's see here. And now it appears. So now I've got this facility maintenance work group. It tells me how many members are in here. I can come in here. I can manage that work group. So I can change the members if I need to. I can change the name of it. I can delete it if I need to. Whatever you need there, you can make adjustments as needed. But now that work group's made. So what that means is I can start to create collections specific to that work group. And I can also create collections specific to the entire organization. I'm going to show you a little bit about what that looks like. So I'm going to bounce back over to the collections in my link. And this is where I would suggest, if you're starting from scratch with Link, that you come in and build some pre-made collections prior to doing bookmarks. I think it'll be a great way for you to kind of organize how you want to frame things within your company and organization. And that way, as you're making bookmarks, you can quickly add them to existing collections that you've already created. So as I mentioned, the view here is a little bit different now that we've released this my work groups feature. So you can see I've got my collections, and those just show this folder icon right here. So these are all things that are just personal to me. Anything I put in here that I haven't put in a shared collection is only visible to me. So even though I'm part of an enterprise organization, I don't have to share everything with them. I can have my own personal stuff, and then I can also share stuff with them as well. Down here in the shared collections, what you're going to see is it's organized alphabetically, but you're going to see different icons. So the icon here that looks like two little buildings, that essentially is an enterprise-wide collection. So if you had something that you wanted all 100 users or however many users you have across your company to see, you can create an enterprise-wide collection. If you have a collection specific to a work group now, what you're going to see is these three little people icon, and that's specific to a work group. And you can kind of see this number 1 here. That means there's one work group associated. You could also put multiples there. You can click collection visibility. You could see that this work group actually belongs to the 10 State Street, or this collection belongs to the 10 State Street project work group. So I could jump right into there, view all that content. Anybody within that work group can also see that content. So if you're not part of that work group, you're not going to see this collection in your My Link Collections tab. So if I come over here and I click New Collection, I've got a few options. So I can create one just for myself. I can now create one for a work group, or I can create one for the entire team. It's going to let me know it's visible to 10 people on my team. So if I come in here and let's say I'm going to do one for the facility maintenance team. So I'm going to do fire pump ITM. And I'm going to add this to the facility maintenance team. I can click save. And then it is going to create that specific work group. And now you'll see that work group appear, or that collection, apologies, that collection appears for that specific work group. So if I hit collection visibility, facility maintenance, anybody in that work group now has access to the fire pump ITM. So now if I'm the expert on everything fire pumps and I want everybody, all of my facility managers to know what they need to do for inspection, testing, and maintenance, I could go through NFPA 25. I could select the relevant sections that apply, add them to this collection, put my personal notes in, say, hey, you need to check this, 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 and this. And I can add this all to this collection. So anybody in there can come in, take a look at what that collection specifically has in it within that particular work group. You can see currently I have no bookmarks added. As I'm making bookmarks, I can go ahead and add those to that particular collection. So again, just my suggestion, I would certainly go in, create your collections ahead of time if you haven't already started making bookmarks, and then go do all your bookmarks after you've created some collections. All right. So that is the main part of the work groups feature. What I will say with work groups is that we released basically what we call our Gen 1 of that. There are some other things we will look at exploring, roles and responsibilities, other things like that, authoring rights, anything like that. So it is our first release. We'd love to get your feedback as you're playing around with it. What do you like? What do you not like? How can we help, assist with that? What I will show you is in the account settings, or down in where my initials are, there is this support tab. And what this is going to take you to is our FAQs. but it's also got this contact support button. So if you do have any general feedback you want to give to us, you can come in here. It's going to populate with your information, but you can fill out all of your feedback right here. You can hit submit. That's going to generate a case. It's going to escalate up to myself and Angela. We'll be able to read your input and then help prioritize it. So, the way we work with NFPA Link, we're constantly developing new features. We're constantly adding new content. So whether it's feature related or content related, would love to get your feedback. We're always releasing new stuff. We have stuff planned throughout the rest of the year, but we're always reprioritizing and configuring what we want to focus on. So please, send us your feedback. Let's get your input because that's the way we can make this work the best for you. So the next thing I just want to touch on is the TIAs and change indicators. So what I'm going to show you is actually some wireframe designs because this isn't out just yet. You're going to see this come out very soon. But it will be a very Gen 1 version of it as well. So like I said, with work groups, we released what we could. We wanted to get it out there, get people starting to use it. Similarly, with change indicators, we're doing the same. So we're going to release a Gen 1 version of this to allow you to start to interact with them. Again, would welcome any feedback you have. We know there's some things we want to address, and I'll touch on those briefly. But you're going to see this come out very soon. We'll have a walkthrough guide to show you what it's all about. We'll do an announcement once it's live and ready so that you're all aware of it. But I just want to kind of tease it, get some excitement around it, because I do think it's a very cool feature and something we hadn't offered with NFPA before. So the example I'm showing you is with NFPA 70, but this will be across all of our documents that have change indicators in them. So what you're going to have the ability to do going forward is actually interact with these icons. So today, if you actually hover over this icon, it's not clickable, but in the future, it's going to be clickable. So if I click this delta, for example, what's going to pop up is it's going to tell me I'm viewing the NFPA 2020 version currently, but it's going to show me that this was actually a change from NFPA 70 2017. So instead of having to go and find NFPA 70 2017, open up Article 310.1 and view the scope and read what the changes were, I now have a quick side-by-side view of that particular change. So I can click that interactive change indicator. I can read the requirement of what was in NFPA 2017. I could see what the differences were. So volts and their type destinations, and this was volts and their variance installations markings, etc. So you can see that this was actually added in. Same thing where it came to the motors and motor controllers. So they added motors in from the NFPA 2017. So this is a great way to do some comparison if you do move to the latest and greatest edition and you want to know what has changed from the prior edition. Now you've got these features to really show you kind of the differences. So at our initial launch, you're going to be able to click this. You're going to be able to read this. There's some things here I'm showing you that won't be at launch that I just want to talk through real quick because they will be coming later this year. Some of it we're still exploring and getting customer feedback on. So again, would love to get your input on what you'd like to see here. But one of those is the change summary piece. So for example, very similar to that enhanced content section where it was handbook material, we also now have the ability to give you our input on why the change happened. So we can provide input on, what was the reason behind the change? Why is it important to you? All that good stuff. We can have our technical experts put that in here. You could expand this, read this. This is just placeholder material, for example, but just to show you that we will be including change summary information. Again, that will not be available directly at launch, but that is something we are going to be including later on this year. The other piece that we're exploring is what we're calling show red lines. So if I click this, I can actually see, instead of having to compare side by side, I can see the cross out of what wasn't there and what's been added. So this is something that we're just waiting to get some more feedback on from our users. So far, we've tested it with some users. Some like it, some don't. Some find it confusing. Some find it extremely helpful. So we're just kind of, vetting that out, deciding which way we go with it. But would love to also get some additional feedback. If you want to see that red line feature, please let us know. We'll definitely be sure to include that down the road. Again, these two pieces right here will not be available immediately at launch, but are coming soon as well. The other piece to show you is on our TIAs. So TIAs, as you guys might know, are issued in between cycles. And essentially, whenever NFPA link, whenever we get a new TIA, we automatically update NFPA link. But today, there is really no indicator that that was a TIA. All you're going to see is just the latest content. You're not going to see that anything had changed because it's not technically a change indicator. It didn't change from the prior edition. It was a TIA. So we do our best to update that in real time, make sure you get the latest and greatest. But what we are going to be releasing here in a little while is the ability to view TIAs as well. So what you'll see is a T indicator. And again, you'll be able to click on it. You'll be able to see that this is TIA, whatever number. You'll also be able to see the effective date. So if it matters to you or not on when it went into effect, you'll be able to at least know, and you'll be able to still see that original content. So what it's going to show you on the left side is what's been updated, but what it's going to show you on the right was the text prior to that TIA being issued and going into effect. So you can still read that original content. And then again, we'll have the ability to show you some reasons behind the TIA if we have some input there, as well as a potential red line feature regarding TIAs. So those are the two newest features that will be coming out shortly. The first one you're going to see is the change indicator coming. So you will be able to click all of these. Another thing to show you with change indicators is if there isn't an icon to the left, sometimes it's just shading. You can also click this menu bar where you do the add bookmark, sharing, and all the other features, and you'll be able to open that change indicator. So similarly to clicking on the delta itself, you can also utilize the menu bar to access that change indicator. So just a few different ways to interact with it. Some other things to call out is if it's something new, for example, which would have the N, and I don't know if I do have an example of it. What you're going to see coming out is it's going to tell you it's a new section and then it was recently added. So you're not going to be able to see anything from the prior edition because obviously there wasn't anything because it's brand new and to that certain cycle, but it's at least going to be able to click on it and let you know, hey, it's new, in case, whoever's using it isn't familiar with our change indicator icons. It's going to let you know what's been changed. The other thing that we're still working on is deleted sections and tables. So right now, whenever we release this feature, if you do click on a bullet, which indicates a deleted section, it's going to tell you to see the prior edition. We're still working through the data behind the scenes to make that all work, but that will also be coming out later this year where you can click the bullet and actually see the deleted text from the prior edition. Today, whenever we release this, you're just going to be able to see it's just going to tell you to see the prior edition. So really it's on the deltas and the changes. You're going to see most of that stuff. The deleted and the tables right now are going to point you back to the prior edition for now. But again, we're addressing those. We're working through it. And as we release this, again, we'd love to get all of your feedback on it and get your support on what we can improve and what we can make better for the application. But high level, I just wanted to show you kind of what's coming because I do think it's really exciting. And I do think it's going to help you all in your day-to-day, not having to bounce back and forth so much and really be able to see that content in real time with interactive features. So pretty excited about it. Again, it's coming out here shortly. I don't have an exact date on when it's launching, but in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see interactive change indicators come out. So I went pretty quick today, actually. Happy to jump into anything in more specifics and address any other questions. Angela, I know you've been fielding questions, so I'll let you take it from here and then we can both kind of tackle whatever else we need to.
Perfect. So I have flagged, there's been a number of questions coming through that have already been answered, but there were 3 really good ones that, Kyle, I'd like to address live if we can. 2 of them were from Kevin Corver. So his first question has come up multiple times, so I figured let's answer it live so that everyone is aware of what we're currently exploring. So his first question is whether or not there will be any future corporate subscription options that allow concurrent users rather than having it be specific to the individual in their email addresses, but basically allowing organizations enterprise-wide to be accessing the platform.
Yeah, so great question. I'm going to address this in two parts. So one around the concurrent access. Our plan is not to go that route with concurrent access. I feel like that's more limiting than enabling. Basically, that means you can have 10 people access at a time, but if that 11 person needs to get in, they have to wait until somebody else gets out. We don't really want to go that route with it. Certainly from a couple standpoints. One is we do user-based pricing. So we are very aggressively priced when it comes to corporate subscriptions. So the more users you add, the lower cost per user it is. If you've got 1,000 users or more, we can certainly negotiate and talk about what that pricing looks like. But everything is user-based for the reason that it is all customizable and personalized for you. So if you do concurrent access, that doesn't mean, that means that not everybody's going to have their ability to customize and organize the things the way they want to. But the other piece I will address, because I think it's more of a pain point of email addresses and managing all of that and making sure you've got who you need added into the application. We are exploring what we're calling single sign-on options. SSO, if you've heard of that before. So what we're looking at is, for organizations that want it, can we work with you and your IT team to develop SSO capabilities? So if you've got your login and password to get on your company's portal or intranet or whatever you might use, could you also have a link directly into NFPA Link from there that gets you access to Link without having to set up a new username and password? So that's absolutely something we're exploring. We're doing it on more of a case-by-case basis. So what I would say is, as you're having those discussions with your account managers about options and you want to explore SSO, certainly bring that up. We'll work with you. We'll work to understand what your requirements are, and then we can work on getting that set up for you. We do have a number of cases right now that we're already addressing and trying to look at options for them. So if it's about kind of trying to manage that many users and get them access, that is certainly an option. But what I would tell you is concurrent access is something that we're not looking to explore right now.
Great. So there's another one, Kyle, that continuously we hear quite frequently. So I think we should address this one too. And the question is around how to install. They're using the word install the NFPA Link as an app on your mobile device. So do you want to just quickly touch on that?
Yeah, I will touch on that. And then honestly, I think it's probably worth us just creating a quick screen share video, because obviously I can't do it from this webinar, but I can explain it in the best way possible. And Angela, feel free to chime in if you've got additional thoughts on this. But say you're on your mobile phone and you're going to Safari and you're at link.nfpa.org. So you're viewing it in your browser currently. When you're in your browser and you hit the share button at the bottom, there will be an option to add it to your home screen. So let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, so there will be a button about midway down that says add to home screen with a little plus icon next to it. If you hit that, it will create it as an app on your phone. So it'll look like all the rest of your apps. You just have to do it from your browser. So you're not going to the App Store to find NFPA Link. You're going to open Link in your browser first, and then you're going to hit that share button, hit add to home screen, and that will create it as a little app on your phone itself. Did I miss anything there, Angela?
Nope, you got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions we need to address?
Yeah, so there is one more from Kevin as well. One part of it is feedback, which is great. He gave some feedback around the sort options for search and how you might be able to sort your search results. But he is asking also for an explanation on the current search result order from the search result page.
Sure. So let me jump back in because I want to start at a chapter level here. And I'm going to do my best to explain this. And then what we might do, Angela, is just send like a official answer because I know there's more technical behind this. So I'm going to do my best to explain it, but it has to do with AWS and the searching behind that. So they're essentially putting weights to the words that you're searching. So the keywords that you're searching. So for my example, I searched circuit within NFPA 72 Chapter 14. Since I'm searching just within the chapter itself, I'm only going to get results within that chapter. But the weight is applied based on, is it in the title of the section or is it in the body of the section? So for example, 14.4.7 appears first. That's not in order of NFPA chapter 14, NFPA 72 chapter 14. It's surfacing to the top because the weight's behind it. So the fact that it appears in the title of the section moves it immediately to the top. From there, the priority really goes to frequency of how many times that word or phrase appears within the section. So the next one down is 14.4.6, and you could see circuits appearing twice. So that's giving it more weight than others. And it could appear even more times in here. It's just giving me a sample. But it really, that's kind of the weighting behind everything. And then if I expand it to all of NFPA 72, so now I'm not just searching a particular chapter, there's some additional weights. So again, it's going to go by frequency and whether it's in the title or not. So it's going to start with chapters. And then if you're in the NEC, it's going to give you articles as well. Then it's going to go to annexes. And then again, if you're in the NEC, it's going to give you parts. And then it's going to go to those parent sections, which is like the main section, and then those child sections, which is the subsections. So that's the ordering of how it's done in our search results. And then it all those same weights apply. So that's why it's giving you chapter 12 circuits and pathways first, because that's a chapter and it's in the title. And then the annex below it, because it's in the title of the annex. So you can kind of see how it's weighted and why it's appearing in the way it is. Again, if you needed to use the Control F because you wanted to see it in order, you could do it that way as well. This is certainly feedback that we've gotten. So we are looking at exploring how to do different sorting options with search and give you different results other than just the weight. But I felt like it was necessary to kind of explain the weight behind why you're getting the results you get. Hopefully that answered your question.
It sounds like it did. So we definitely got some feedback. I think this looks like it's from the person who asked the original question, but it's coming through as anonymous for whatever reason. They do say that explanation's great. And they're suggesting that we add that explanation or some type of verbiage on the actual search results page so people are understanding what they're seeing, which is great feedback. They're saying it's not really intuitive without that detailed explanation.
Sure.
That's actually great feedback. And that's the type of feedback we always log and discuss as a development team when we get that type of feedback. So that's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That is it for open questions. Everything else has been answered. I guess we can give a last call for questions. Does anyone else have anything they want answered? If not, you can always reach Kyle and I through that contact support button on the support page. We're always collecting feedback. So if you think of something after the fact that you want to ask, feel free to send your question via there and we will get back to you.
Yeah, and I just want to, thank you all for joining today. Hopefully you found these features helpful and useful. We're certainly excited about releasing the interactive change indicators, and I hope you all are excited about that as well. If you aren't a current Link subscriber, I certainly suggest you go to nfpa.org/link. You can learn all about Link. You can take a free trial if you'd like, test out some of the features, and that's also where you can purchase and purchase a subscription to the application. So from there, Brittany, do I need to go back to the?
Yes, please. I just have a
Yep,
couple of
no problem.
closing slides.
Give me just a second. Oops.
All right, so thank you, everyone. If you have any other questions or comments, you can email those to custserve@nfpa.org. For information on upcoming webinars, that can be found at nfpa.org/webinars. A recording of this webinar will be made available. Everyone will receive an email when that has been posted. And on behalf of the NFPA, Kyle Spencer, Angela Burke, and myself, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.